taste that form as well, and I was like, oh,
Because I've got double cream. Delicious.
coffee do you drink?
It's just regular coffee,
Okay.
but I have a lot of cream in it.
Okay.
It's
I worked at Costa for a period of time, and I was like,
yeah.
I don't know much about coffee even after working there, if I'm honest.
Apparently, Steve Peel from Yellow Bourbon, whose coffee this is, he says Costa's one of the good chains because they actually make the coffee rather than machine make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I like that.
It was more, I think, like the different types of coffee in which we had to learn to make was just ridiculous.
I know, it seems to be an
like,
endless list.
like the only people that I used to like that came in was like the building contractors and stuff like that, because it wasn't far from here, you know, the industrial estate just up the road.
Yeah.
Well, it's just there.
Oh, okay.
One of the new branches, and you just get like contractors coming in, and they would go, "Oh, can I just have coffee?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
great,
yeah, sweet, that I can do, mate." Like,
yeah.
I come in and be like, "Oh yeah, can I just have a cup of tea, mate?" I'm
Yeah.
like, "Sweet, yeah, I'll just put a kettle on," and then they just look at you funny, and I'm like, "No, I'm serious, man."
Yeah,
Like,
just a regular. That's what I say sometimes. Yeah, I just give me like a tall black cup of coffee.
yeah,
Just as much coffee as you can fit in there. That's all I need. Yeah, you can mess about with it, can't you? But then there's people that have made it their life that are probably
I was going to
swearing
say, some
now.
people that, like, you'd get them coming in. I've never understood when they'll be like, "Oh, can I have like a shot and a half?" And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Is that
really?
necessary?"
Shot and a half?
Yeah, they'll do like literally, because you get like 2 shots of coffee. It's the average.
Yeah.
But they'll be like, "Oh, can I have like a shot and a half?" And I'm like, "Do you actually care that much? Like about a little half?"
Yeah.
Like, because honestly, the difference is
Yeah.
nothing.
I mean, it's like 15 mil, whatever it is. It's tiny amount of coffee, isn't it?
yeah.
Did you just
But
give them
apparently
two?
they've
and say
worked
it was-
out in their own head that like
Okay.
that 2
That's
is
the
just a
sweet
bit
spot.
too much.
That's mad, isn't it? Yeah, I'm not that into it. I don't know that much. Anyway, you're a music promoter,
I am.
which is something that fascinates me because.
Shouldn't exist. That's how I thought of it.
Oh, okay.
I always thought music promoters shouldn't be a thing. Like 100%. I think I'm not going to get slated for it, but I think bands got lazy.
Yeah.
Like personally, because especially I used to chat to a mate of mine, and he's been gigging for years and years and years. And he goes that when they used to gig, it would be literally he'd get in a van, drive to a venue, approach just a pub venue, and go, "Hey, look, I would love to play in your venue at some point."
Yeah.
And they'd go, "Okay, cool. When were you thinking?" They'll go, "This date." And like a week before their actual gig, he would drive up there and they'd go around the street and they'd fly her out everywhere so that their gig was promoted. Following week later, they'd play the gig.
Yeah.
But now, I suppose we've come into play.
Yeah.
So,
That's an interesting one, actually. I've never thought about it in that way because that is how it used to be. My dad was in bands, 40 years ago, and that was it. Or they just play the local working men's club or the working men's club circuit.
That's exactly it, yeah.
And it was like that's the way it was, and there wasn't.
That's
you put
just
yourself
wait and
on.
hope that someone noticed them, basically.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think that's quite often nowadays. That's how covers bands get gigs.
yeah,
I think if they're playing in pubs or they're playing at functions, there's probably not a promoter involved there, or the bar owner or the bar manager is the promoter as well.
I in a way, I don't think like just postering up the venue is enough promotion these days. Like it's difficult enough getting people out. Too many people pre-drink, as they call it.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm just going to sit in my house and drink a bottle of whiskey before I even hit town, and then buy a drink in town just to top them up." And it's just like, you're just killing the pub trade and the entertainment trade in general. So,
Yeah, that's a good point. When I was at uni, that's what we used to do because we couldn't afford to
I was
drink.
going to say, see, uni-wise, you can kind of understand it.
Yeah.
Although once you actually get out, it was all right because, like, I suppose a lot of the uni places nearby they'll have like uni drinks prices on it.
Yeah,
Like that. So
there's
it's not too
deals.
bad. Like once you actually do make it out, you can have a couple.
Mm.
I've never gone to university, but I've done 3 freshers weeks in different places, so I knew what it was like.
Yeah, I did a couple before I went to uni. Actually, who doesn't want to party for a week?
Yeah, basically.
I mean, that's fun.
I can't say I've ever done the Northampton one, even though it's just down the road. But I don't feel like it's much of an actual freshers week here. Like,
I think it is, but it's all on campus.
yeah, which is why I think it's not a proper one. Like, in the cities, the universities, like they are wild. Like, it's almost like the whole kind of anywhere near the uni turns into a uni place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking from experience because I went to uni 13 years ago. So I finished uni 13 years ago. So it's been a while since I've been involved. And the uni's a lot bigger now than it was then.
Yeah.
So maybe it has changed, but yeah. So I mean, that's the days of going out like after work and like staying at the pub all night. I mean, not many people do that. It's expensive to do that.
It's really expensive to do.
Yeah.
Man. It's just completely gone out the window these days. It's no one does it anymore. So
No.
I think that's kind of where promoters kind of stepped in.
Yeah.
But I don't really know, like, if someone asked me, like, what do you actually do? Like, if I'm honest, I don't know what you'd pinpoint it as. Like, what's the specific one thing that I'm meant to be doing above anything else? I mean, obviously, most people go, oh, promoting, surely. But then, like, what would be the basic thing of, like, what would you... Like, I ask bands and stuff, like, what do you require of a promoter? What do you think would be the number one thing? Totally should have
always put your phone on silent. It's funny the amount of times I haven't put my phone on airplane
Totally
mode.
should have done it, man. Totally should have done it.
It's fine. No, it doesn't matter. Yeah,
Do you know what I bet? I've just seen who that phone call's from, and I actually said, oh yeah, can you remind me on the 19th that I've got this podcast?
Oh,
and
right.
they were like, oh yeah, I'll definitely do it. I was like, it's
Okay.
at 2:30. And do you know what? I woke up this morning and I remembered anyway. So,
Yeah.
But they're just calling me now, and I bet that's them to say, oh, you
Yeah.
got a podcast? But I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, well, I'm
Yeah.
actually doing it right now.
Yeah, you're actually on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, promotion is a grey area, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, what exactly is it? And probably because it includes a lot of different stuff rather
It is.
than there's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
much to it. Yeah.
I mean, for an average show, you'll start with the basics. So you'll obviously book the bands, book the venue,
Yeah.
get a poster together, and first thing that you'll do is online presence.
Right.
That's literally the first thing I'll always do. It gives me a rough feel for how people are going to take to the show as well. Because if I launch a show and I go, oh yeah, we've got this show, and I don't know, like say like 3 or 4 people click attending, you're like, okay, this is going to require that bit of extra mile to get people into it. Because we deal with predominantly unsigned bands as well.
Yeah.
So 9 times out of 10, I imagine people reading the events just going, who's that?
Yeah.
And then you gotta go, then you got to spend time. The next thing will be like word of mouth.
Yeah.
So then you start talking to your mates and hope that they will then talk to their mates. But you got to kind of fit in naturally into conversation. It's kind of, I'd say that would be the art of it.
Yeah,
of
that's sales, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to sell it, but without actually them knowing you're selling it.
Yeah.
I mean, a few people have pulled me on it a few times
Yeah.
and been like,
Stop
did you
working."
just do that? And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But you've got to sneak it in.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if it's unsigned bands and I imagine you only book bands that you like or you think are good. So it's like, well, you are selling something, but it is something that's good. It's not, this isn't nonsense.
That's exactly it. Like the idea is often what you do is top 2 bands. So say I'm just talking about basic bill here, 4-band bill.
Yeah.
That's our average show. It will be a 4-band show.
Yeah.
So the top 2 bands, you'll be sent out, like, you get emailed 24/7 by booking agents,
Yeah.
which is another aspect of it, which I think, where did that come from?
Right.
You got the booking agents as well, and they email you non-stop. Different tour packages, this is when they're flying through, and you got to work out, everything's got to match up dates-wise, venues-wise, everything like that. Get it all together, and you finally picked one tour package, and you're like, I think this is going to do well.
Okay.
And then you listen to them and you're like, okay, yeah, perfect sound. I think it's going to sell well in that area as well, because each area I think sells better towards different genres of music as well. Like, we predominantly deal with like rock and metal basically.
Yeah.
And I'd say in Northampton, like metal sells the most, but more importantly, like metalcore.
Okay.
It's like that weird genre that came in a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the main one that sells above anything else in Northampton.
Okay.
If you can go and put like a really heavy rock bill on, and in my experience, it's a market that I think either A, we can't hit for whatever reason, or people who like that music don't tend to come out.
Okay.
So I don't know. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. But once you've done that, you've just got to try and sneak into conversation. Annoy people basically 24/7.
Yeah, that's it. It's a difficult job. I think it's difficult to do that. You know, you need to get people in through the door, and quite often people need to be convinced. I mean, I wonder how many people see a gig on Facebook or a poster or whatever and don't know any of the acts and think, oh, I'll give that a go. That looks like it might be, I think not many people.
I was going to say, there really isn't many. I mean, even in amongst my friendship circle, like my close friendship circle, that is, there's my mate Jason. Like when I decided to start putting on shows, Jason was there from day one, and he was just like, yeah, man, I love going to gigs. And to be honest, he does. He literally will just go to a gig and he'll just check out whatever's on.
Cool.
But I don't really know anyone else that does that.
I think that's what I try to address with I did some secret gigs where I put a gig on and didn't advertise who was playing. So it was just a gig and it was like £3 to get in.
No way, I remember these.
Or free to get in, depending on the venue. But the idea was, I thought in Northampton, we were going through a period of not many people going out to gigs. Yeah. And I was going to some gigs and they weren't busy at all. And they were great bands. And I thought the problem was people are going to see their mates play. Yeah. Which is cool. But their mates are playing the same venues because there's a limited number of venues. Mm-hmm. But how many times will you go and watch your mates play the same set? I think not many times. Yeah. So eventually they're playing to nobody. So I thought, well, how can we get people to go out and just listen to good music? Yeah. So that was the idea, and some of them worked, and some of them didn't.
I was going to say, how did they actually go? Yes. I remember, I really liked them because like the actual promo campaigns that you were doing for them were like really interesting because it was just like, we're going to do complete secret venue, secret bands. Yeah. No one's going to know what it is. Yeah. And do you know what? I'm just as bad as everyone else for it because I looked at it and I thought, I really want to go to that. And you know what? I never made it to any of them.
It's risky. It's risky.
It is.
That's it. And there's a lot of other gigs on. There's a lot of other stuff to do. Yeah. It was an experiment. I think largely it worked, but I couldn't. I wanted to do a gig where I could pay the bands generously. Yeah, because I didn't take any money. I gave all of it to the bands and the sound man. But excuse me, they just weren't making enough money.
Well, so this is the thing. We have countless bands, just people generally across the industry that turn around and be like, "Oh yeah." Like everyone's trying to fight their own corner and everyone's going, oh, these people aren't getting paid enough. These people aren't getting paid enough. These people aren't getting paid enough. And when you get down to the nitty-gritty of it, you work out that basically no one's getting paid enough. And it's just like, the only way you can do it is someone's going to lose out. Yeah. But the way of working out who's going to lose out it's an impossible one. You might as well draw it out of a hat and go, who's losing today? Like,
I think you're right. The only gigs that make loads of money or make money for everybody are the ones that are big and sell out, a few hundred or if not 1,000 capacity venues. But
I mean, you say that, but like the real big shows that we've dealt with, often when we get approached by like their booking agent or something like that, how it turns around, like what it actually works out that you walk away with is nothing. Because so trying to think of one for example. I don't know, but generally how they'll approach you is they'll be like, okay, this is what it is. And you look at the name and you're like, holy crap, that's going to be awesome. Yeah. And even when you're stood there in a sold out venue and everyone's like, oh, I bet you did all right tonight. Yeah. And you're actually looking at it and you're like, well, they got $2,000 plus 80% of the door. Mm-hmm. Once I take off expenses and everything like that, I think I made £30 tonight. And it is literally that was a sold out show, and that was the exact numbers. I won't name the band, but
no,
like that was literally what it was. It worked out that after everything, I made £30 off of a sold out venue with like, and you think about the amount of work that you actually put in and stuff like that, and I think that wasn't actually including whatever I'd paid out on just doing, like, because obviously you do online promotion, which obviously Facebook charges you for as well. So if you take that off, I'm not sure I actually made anything. No. So
that's it. It's so difficult, and it was easy. Was it easy? I mean, the fact that it's a secret. I'm not saying which bands are playing actually works in my favour because it's almost like less promotion. I don't have to say who's playing and you can find them here and here's an example and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And a lot of the promotion did itself because there was a bit of hype around the fact that it was a secret.
Well, I don't think anyone had ever done anything like that before.
I think that was not in Northampton anyway.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But you know what? I never even knew that it had been done before. You probably could have held on to that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, secret shows, bands quite often do secret shows where they announce it at the last minute, but they've got such a following that in 30 minutes they can fill the place.
I was going to say, I'd say that's different though. I don't think there's anything that I've seen where it's actually been like, no one knows what band's playing, no one knows which venue it is, and it's just like stuff like that. It's almost like a flash show, really. It's like it just
that's it. Happens. I think it was an interesting experiment, but it wasn't. it was promotion. It was just something I was doing on the side. So if I didn't get paid, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It ended up costing me money, but money that I could afford. So, you know, but if I decided to, if that was just my job, and it was costing me money, it's like, that's not ever going to work. I can do that for a week, and then you're out of business.
That is pretty much what it's like.
Like, it's always close, isn't it?
I mean, I know across the board, pretty much most of the promoters across the country, as far as I'm aware, are pretty much in the same boat, that most of us all have jobs outside of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we average out at around about 75 shows a year, a festival and a festival.
Yeah.
And I think it balances out over the year. I'm not actually sure.
Yeah.
I never sit down there and work it out.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that could probably get me in a lot of trouble is like half of the time, like there's no real way of properly declaring what you're doing either. But like if ever, I suppose if HMRC decided to chase me up, I'd be like, well, what do you want of zero?
Yeah, like, you can have 100% of
like, you can have 100% of nothing if you want. Like, I don't mind. I mean, I've got records where if they asked me,
you can do tax return.
It literally does work out as, I don't know, I think first couple of years made a loss. Last couple of years doing a bit better, but nothing really to shout about. I don't think I personally just don't think there's any money in the industry, full stop.
Yeah.
There's ways of making money, I believe, like especially as a band. A lot of bands say that they can't make money. And I remember a band called Thy Art Is Murder. I think CJ, the vocalist, walked out on the band and was like, oh yeah, there's just no money in the industry.
Okay.
And then, I can't remember who it was, but a large booking agency basically commented this massive reply back to the vocalist, being like, well, I think you've just got bad management there. Yeah. Because you're a huge band. If you worked out that you're averaging this much from each show, and you're actually taking merch, and he put it as low odds, and he was just like, averagely, you're going to walk away with like this much per night. And it was like, it was more than enough, really.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, sort of fast forward a couple of months on from then, you'll see that they had swapped booking agency onto that booking agent, and he rejoined the band as well. Okay. And I was like, I wonder if they're actually doing all right now. But I don't know. I do think it is a lot of managing and working out how it works.
That's it. So I think that's so
Once
important.
You've cracked the code, I imagine it's easy sailing from them. But who do you learn from? I don't know even where you'd look to learn, because I sort of use local people that I think have been in the industry long enough and know exactly what it's like. And I often talk to them above, say, like the new guys that are coming through, because a lot of the new guys have this sense of like arrogance that they're owed something.
Right.
And it's mad to think that, you'll be dealing with a band that's been hacking at it for 30 years, sort of have got it roughly about right. They're doing good for themselves, but they're not losing any money, and yet they're not doing anywhere near as well as, say, a new band that's coming through at the moment, been doing it about a year or so.
Yeah.
And somehow they're losing money, and I'm like, there must be someone's getting it wrong somewhere. So
that's it. It's well, I suppose that's experience, isn't it? When you're young and you think you're on, so excuse the building work going on outside. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear it on the mics, but I've got some diggers and lifting, demolishing something. It's experience when you're young and you're in a band and people like you and your friends. It's easy to think, oh, we're onto something here, and then it's easy to be skeptical about promoters and managers and booking agents and definitely. Venues. Like, they're all trying to make money off me, because you've heard that so many times now. Obviously, sometimes it's true, but I would imagine no more than in any other industry.
I think the main promoters you've got to avoid are the obvious ones. Anyone who approaches you from day dot and says, well, you've got to bring this amount of people. The second you hear those words, just cut conversation. Like they are trying to screw you out of money. I will in no way, I think it's coming on to 6 years. For ages, I thought we'd been going for 4 years, but I realised I've been saying 4 years for like 2.5 years or something. And I was like, I lost my train of thought there a little bit.
People trying to make money out of it.
So basically, in all the time we've been doing it, the maximum we'll say to a band is, you really need to be pushing this show. And if I don't see an online presence from you, I'm more than happy to put you from the bill. Yeah. Because it's too many times I've seen, I've had people come along to a show and then they'll be like, oh, when's this band playing next? And I'll be like, they played last week.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, oh, did they? Oh, I didn't even see anything by them.
Okay.
And then you go and look back and you realise that they haven't even posted it themselves.
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
like, come on, man. Like, if you want your shows to be busy and you want to be making, like, if you want to be making money out of this and you actually want to be doing well, you need to at least sell it yourself.
Yeah.
It can't be left all to one specific person. I think everyone involved needs to get on board.
And why wouldn't you? Other than laziness, why wouldn't you promote yourself? It's like, do you want to be doing this? Are you enjoying it? Well, maybe do some work. You know, Facebook post you could do it in 20 seconds.
You can queue them now.
Yeah.
You literally, this is half of the time what we do is like, you'll queue up, I don't know, 5 posts for the week.
Right.
So for example, on a Sunday, so yesterday I queued up the posts for this week. And now I already know what we're announcing at each point. And obviously as well, we've got the team know exactly when they're being announced because they can see when they're scheduled for.
Right.
And it's just sort of keep an eye out. And you get a notification on your phone that says, oh, your scheduled post for 3 p.m. on Monday has gone through.
Yeah.
And you literally just go on Facebook, share it, done.
Yeah.
It's not much.
No. That's, we keep talking about the promotion. I mean, we should probably say what the company is and who else works there and how it came about.
Yeah.
Because we're just sort of,
How it came about is probably the funniest one. So we'll start there. There was, obviously, I think I mentioned to you briefly earlier, but in short, what happened was I moved up here from London.
Yeah.
I moved to Luton first and lived there for a year or so, and then moved up. I lived in a little village called Hardwick, which is just outside of Wellingborough.
Right.
But as I gradually started meeting people in town and stuff, and I finally met sort of the alternative lot, a lot of people kept talking about gigs and stuff, and like huge gigs. They were like, oh, you know, Suicide Silence came through and they played the Road Mender or, you know, various gigs. And I was like, oh, so when's the next one? And everyone's just like, oh, I don't really know. Nothing really goes on at the moment.
Right.
And I kind of let that lie for a while. But I spent a lot of my younger years in Camden when I lived in London. And they have a gig on every single night across 4 or 5 venues in just a small little area. When you go from that to like Wellingborough where there was nothing, eventually I managed to find a venue called the Horseshoe, and they run punk gigs.
Right.
After a while, you want to hear something other than punk. Just anything other than punk would have been great. But again, there was nothing. So myself, a bloke called Sam Willis, and Jason, who I mentioned earlier, was sat at this table, and we were like, oh, we could do it. We could run like an alternative night. In fact, there's a night called Blast Chamber that happens in Northampton. And we were going to try and recreate. We weren't even going to do gigs. We were going to do literally just a club night.
Okay.
In Wellingborough. And a bloke called Sanj runs the Kingfisher and Raffs, what he used to call Raffies. And he basically goes, look, I've got nothing really for that, but I can give you a Wednesday night if you really reckon anyone's going to come out. And we were like, fuck it. We'll see if we can get some people out. So we were like, all right, cool. First couple, we did these 2 club nights between the 3 of us. Ended up becoming 4 of us. There was a mate of mine called Sean as well, jumped on board. And for the first couple of nights, went great. And then it started to die down pretty much straight away. It was like first two nights, like everyone was like well interested. It was like, yeah, see you at the next one, like blah, blah, blah. Come the third one, dead. Like that was literally it. Yeah. But luckily we was all working jobs and stuff. And what we worked out between us, what the venue essentially said to us was, as long as X amount's taken behind the bar, we don't care.
Okay.
And we were like, all right, well, between the 4 of us, I guess we're just going to have to establish drinking problems. So we worked out that we was just going to drink on dead nights between the 4 of us. We was going to drink that amount, like whatever it was. It was just like, it doesn't matter if anyone comes in on straight, like as long as we make that amount on the bar, it doesn't matter. To the point in which it would be like coming up to like 1 a.m. and we'd just say, well, mate, how much left have we got to do? We're like proper smashed. And they'll be like, oh, you got to do like another 40 quid more. And you'd be like, all right, sweet. Can I have £40 worth of shots? And that was it. Just nail back these shots.
Yeah.
So then how the shows came about from there was my mate Sean was in a band. They were called In a Dying Memory. Right. And he was kind of left in charge of finding shows for the band. Yeah. And he hadn't done anything. In fact, he'd been too busy. Between the 3 or 4 of us, we'd just been busy going out and getting on it.
Yeah, yeah.
And he woke up one morning on my sofa and he was just like, oh shit, I'm in so much trouble. I haven't found any gigs, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I've got an idea. I'm hanging out my ass. I'm half cut still. And I was just like, I'll talk to Sanj. Let's see if we could run a gig. I was like, we've got the mixer there. I was like, I reckon I can get hold of some microphones, like some speakers, stick them on stands, and we'll just make it happen.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be the best show in the world. We're not looking to make the best show in the world, but you're out of trouble. I'll be trying something new.
Yeah.
Like, we had decided at some point around about that time that the only people that had enough time to run this thing was myself and Sam.
Right.
Sam was going to do the DJing side of things, and I was just kind of going to be a busybody. I didn't really have any skills in anything regarding to music. So I was just like, look, man, I'll talk to people about it and get people down. And yeah, we did this first show and we chucked a couple of other locals on the bill. And yeah, we ran the show and it was packed out. It was like, at that point, it was like,
this is easy.
Yeah, it was. In our heads, we were like, this is easy. It was just like, we've nailed it. We've cracked the code, man. And we ran that show. And then we did 2 more shows after that. The second show, again, it's been like an ongoing thing. We run like the first 2, goes well, third one, dead. So it's like everyone's likes the hype and the excitement of the first couple. Yeah. After that, it just kind of dies down. But we threw these first 2 shows. And when the third show came along, it was a dead show. And it was well and truly dead in its ass. And I kind of got into a bit of an argument with the other guy, Sam, who was running it with me at the time. And it was over nothing major. It was just, we had made, it wasn't even much. I think it was like maybe 20 or 30 quid off the first couple of shows. Because we were literally, they were like £1 or £2 entries. And we was doing like raffles and stuff like that. Like, I'm not sure we really knew what we was doing, but like it was all fun and games, really. Yeah. But when it came to the third show, Sam basically was like, "Oh, well, I need to make sure that we've got that 20 quid tonight because you know I've banked on sorting something out for my son." And I was like, "Oh, I was just like, I don't know how to break it to you." I was like, "We at this point in time, we're going to be paying for this out of our own pocket. We're not even hit breaking even." I was like, "So if you take 20 quid out, that's us." Definitely not hitting it. Like it was about halfway through the night. And he was just like, look, if you can do it. And I was just like, look, I can lend you the 20 quid just out of my own money. And I was like, I'll give you the 20 quid. And I was just like, but if you genuinely can't see how this is going to work and you're going to rely on that money, like I genuinely can't have you as part of like any of the inside of it. And he's just like, to be honest, I don't know whether you've realized it yet, but you've kind of been doing the majority of it anyway. Like I've been really tied up with my son and stuff. And it was just like, this is yours, man. Just go with it. Cool. And I was like, what? Why have I been left high and dry to do this on my own? And that was it. Like, I thought that was kind of going to be the end of it. I was just like, oh, well, you know, we had fun. Like we enjoyed it while it lasted. And we were like, I don't know, I was pretty close to calling it a day then.
Okay.
But I decided to do like one more show. And like at that point, like the venue was being funny with us. It was like, oh, you know, you haven't really made much on the bar at that last gig. And I was like, oh, it's going to be easier for me to just walk away from this. I was managing a tattoo studio at the time as well. So it was like I was working 9 to 5, 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday. And then trying to also work out how the shows were going to run. And I was like, I just don't have the time for this or the effort. Like, screw this. Like,
it's a lot of work.
And then I threw this show, which was at this place called Bailey's Bar.
Right.
It was an interesting show, to say the least.
Okay.
Basically, I've always gone with the same process. And like, even now I go with it. A lot of people go, oh, why did you go with that venue? And I'm like, because it doesn't matter about in my eyes, it doesn't matter about the venue. Don't get me wrong, the acoustic could be better in some venues and other things could be better. But if you haven't got a choice, if you've got this or nothing, I will choose that every time.
Some of my favourite gigs have been in places that aren't suitable for gigs.
100%, man. Like, so we went, we did it in this Bailey's Bar and we put, that's a Northampton band, you know, in the Big Day. Well, obviously, they used to be The Last of Us. And
they practice here, actually,
Oh, do they?
Yeah, nice guys,
real cool. But when they were The Last of Us, it was like, I think it was their first ever show. So it was The Last of Us' first ever show. And I put on a complete mishmash of a bill, man. And it was like them a heavy metal band called Bury Your Burdens, who have since called it a day.
Okay.
And what else did I have? Oh, Drunken Master and the Mandem, they're still going. Yeah. So it's like a rap bill. And then I think there was another band on the bill as well, but I can't remember who the fourth one was.
Right.
It might have just been the three. But either way, we threw this gig and it went really well, but it was a complete mishmash. And everyone was sort of like, what's going on here? Because that's just like three random genres. Like that just don't fit well together, really. Well, it shouldn't on paper. But you just get like a mix of crowd that everyone's checking out everything.
Yeah.
And then in my head, I thought, I've sussed it. I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to put random bands on a bill and keep doing that for now. See who I can find. I mean, in the long run, I worked out you can't do that long term. But and then I don't know what it was, man. Like, I think I just kept going. Like, I wasn't really thinking about too much about what it was like, the future of it or anything like that.
Yeah.
That I think the turning point when it actually became a company was, let's see if I could pinpoint one moment. It was probably when we got Metal to the Masses.
Okay.
Like, obviously Bloodstock Festival. They throw they try to avoid the word competition, but in a way it is. They try to avoid the word competition because everyone looks at a battle of the bands in this day and age and they go, oh man, I'm not playing in a battle of the bands. My band's the boss. And it's just like, you really shouldn't look at it that way. You should see it as like, there isn't many opportunities to get stood in front of the right people.
Yeah.
Which is basically what you're actually doing. Is like, obviously, in my eyes, Bloodstock Festival, they only had, like, same as any festival or anyone working in the industry who are trying to look for new talent and stuff like that, they don't have the time to go to every single gig ever.
No.
How do they filter that? And that's basically what they've done. They filtered it into, they do an entire stage at their festival called the New Blood stage, which I think in a lot of people's heads, they think, oh yeah, but who's actually going to go to that stage? And it's like, well, actually quite a lot. There's like 15,000 people there. Like, if there's nothing on main stage and there's nothing on second stage, which is Sophie Lancaster stage, it's like, where do we go from there? And you'd be surprised. They go to the New Blood stage and they go to the Jägermeister tent. But yeah, so I think that was a turning point. Somehow, I don't know whether they had heard about us or I don't really know how it came about.
Okay.
I've drunk a lot and slept since then. But yeah, like next thing you know, we was running Metal to the Masses and we threw the first competition at the Zombie Hut in Corby.
Right.
And we had like a real good judging panel then as well. Like, because we had the guy who ran the Zombie Hut was Roddy Stone of Viking Skull.
Right.
So like between him and obviously Neil, who used to be in Gutworm at the time, and he just started up Chrysler at that point.
Right.
They were essentially the judges for the first one. And obviously, because all judges needed to be vetted. And I'll be honest, man, in my head, when they were like, oh yeah, you need some like upstanding people who are going to be able to judge these bands, I was like, oh shit. Because I can be honest, like if I could send myself and it would be like, hey, I'm just this guy who's been putting on gigs. And they were like, what's your experience there? It's like, none. But like, so at that point, we put them forward and they were like, oh, wow, you actually have an insanely good judging panel. I was like, oh, sweet, thanks, man. Like, and we ran it. And I remember it was at the end of, come to the final of that Metal to the Masses that year, like the first year. And I was stood there and it was like myself, Simon Hall, who runs the entire sort of Metal to the Masses of initiative thing.
Right.
Roddy, and Neil, and we'd just found out, like, because obviously you get to find out anyway just before the winners are announced. You kind of find out yourself, and it's like, okay, so that's who the winners are going to be. But like, it doesn't prepare you for when they're actually announcing it, because it's one thing hearing it and going, okay, I know these guys have won, but when you stood on stage and there's like a packed out room and you've got also 5 bands all hoping they've won. It was an insane experience, man. They literally just announced the winner and it was almost like there was loads of noise and they were shouting and stuff like that. But it's almost like you just can't hear a thing. It just goes completely silent.
Yeah.
And you're just like, whoa. But yeah, it was at that point, like I then made the biggest dick of myself. Well, not really, but I'd walked out and I'm saying thank you to everyone and obviously commiserating the bands that didn't make it and stuff. Cause you get a winner, and sometimes Simon, if he sees enough talent on a night, he will say, I'm going to actually take a second band. Right. And at which point he puts them on the Jägermeister stage. Yeah. Tries to squeeze them in amongst whatever bands he's got on there as well.
Yeah.
And he'd picked a second band to go through as well. And I'd worked out, I'd started to get a bit emotional because I was like, holy crap. And amongst all of this crazy thing had happened.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think up until that point, I didn't really think much of it. I just saw it as I've been putting on shows and I've been losing tons of money. That was it.
Yeah.
I think it was like after, there was a lot leading up to that as well because I was losing quite a lot of money and I was with a ex-partner of mine who, looking back on it in my eyes, wasn't that supportive. And I think as well, I had like a few friends around me as well that also like, I think if you're involved in the music industry and stuff like that, there's going to be tons of people that tell you that you're just give it all up. Just stop what you're doing because you're wasting your time. Like you're losing loads of money. Yeah. And like, at that point, it wasn't even the money factor or anything like that. That show went really well. Don't get me wrong. But like, it was more, for the first time, it felt like I could do this. I could do this long term.
Okay.
And so, I'd gone out into the hallway and stuff and I'd sort of gone out for a cigarette. I was stood there having a cigarette and Simon came out and he goes, "You all right, mate?" And I was like, because he's, I don't know how you'd explain him as a bloke, but like, he's quite a say it as it is sort of guy.
Yeah.
But like, it's almost like, I guess he's probably been doing it for many, 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 many more moons than I have.
Yeah.
And like, he was like, "You all right, mate?" And I was like, "Yeah, not too bad." And there was like, I don't even know what happened, but my nose started going funny and I could feel my eyes starting welling up. And he was just like, "Not going to cry, are you, mate?" And I was like,
"Oh, fuck."
And I was like, "No, I've been caught." Like, and I was just like, I had to stop. I was just like, "Mate, I've got to go." And that was it. Like, I remember freaking like, I was just like, "Thank you very much for the opportunity," and stuff like that. And I was just like, the whole night's finished. And I've literally just turned to one of the girls that works for us, Bobby, and I've turned to her and I've been like, "Get the car, just get the car right now." And I've literally bolted round and just got into the car and become a blubbering mess in the car, hid it away from everyone. That's cool.
No, that's good though. I mean, you give a shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, but I'd rather that reaction from somebody who's working on something than not caring. Do you know what I mean? If you care about this stuff, and particularly if it's hard work and the financial reward is minimal, it's like, you're not going to be there if you don't care. So it should be affecting you significantly, however that manifests itself. So I think that's a really positive sign that if somebody gets emotional, it's like, this is music.
Yeah.
Music is emotion.
That's exactly
it,
man. Like music is
about.
Emotional as hell, man.
Yeah.
And then if you can share that like one little bit of moment with the bands and with the people and with everyone who gets involved, and actually like, because in your head, you don't actually think leading up to a show or even at a show, you don't think people are supporting you. You just see it as people are coming to a show and stuff like that. But when you take that little moment, take a step back and actually look at the bigger picture, you're like, holy crap, all these people have, for whatever freaking reason, believed in us as a team and as a company that we can throw a good show, and they've turned up. And when you kind of embrace that moment, it's like, holy crap. Like, I don't know. It's real hard to explain, man.
No, I can understand where you're coming from. It's you sort of accidentally stumbled to that point.
Yeah.
But one thing does lead on from another, and it does require hard work and determination and stress and blood, sweat and tears to get there. So it's going to be, while you're doing it day to day, you don't think about the bigger picture.
No.
You probably never do you? Unless you're talking to someone like this where I'm saying what happened. You probably haven't thought about it since.
No, I hadn't.
Yeah, exactly.
It's obviously now that I'm actually talking about it, I'm thinking, wow, man, there was actually a lot that's happened to get to where we are. Like, it was...
And you normally speaking to people about what they've done, in their career so far, more often than not, they come to several points where they were close to quitting, I thought, this isn't working how I wanted it to, and I don't think I know how to change that, so maybe I should call it a day. I think everyone gets that, whatever your career is.
Yeah.
And music or creative industries even more so, because there's no career ladder. Well, if you're working in a business or if you're working in an office or whatever, or at a big company, you know, you go from this job to the next one up to the next one up until you retire. Whereas in creative stuff, you're making your own work.
Yeah.
So you don't know that there is a next step of the ladder. This might be the end of the road for you.
That's exactly
It's really stressful, and there's always that thing in your head going, it's entirely possible that this just isn't going to work. That's not, you know, as much as you can say, no, you got to stick with it and you got to keep going and it's going to be hard. It's like, yeah, but there may be a point where there isn't anything you can do, but it's just working out whether you're in that bit or whether there is something you can do. And it's stressful.
Yeah,
just thinking of that.
It's a journey. Like you have no idea where it's going to actually end up.
Yeah.
And I think every year, the only thing that I try and tell myself is just, don't think about doing what in my own head seems like is bigger and better. I literally just try to do something else each year, to the point in which at the moment, I've sped past them a few times, but I'm going to come back to them. Like, my team have basically all looked at me at the moment and gone,
yeah,
you're freaking mental. Like, what are you doing to, like, you're taking too much on at the moment. And I'm like, it's either take a lot on or just stalemate.
Yeah.
Like, just become doing the same thing year in, year out. It's just going to become stagnant after a while. Like, even like running things, it's going to become stagnant.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to get to a point where I'm attending one of my own shows and going, it's just another show. Like, it's nothing worse. There is nothing worse. Like, I won't lie, I've had that moment a few times, and then I've basically gone, right, I'm going to take a step back for it and let them take the reins and be like, just go have fun with it. And I get enjoyment out of watching them go through the same shit that I went through.
Yeah.
Like, it's sort of somewhat enjoyable watching them.
Yeah. And you know they'll be all right. Although they might be stressing, you know they're going to be okay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, half of the time, like, it's good to watch them just stand in a venue and stare into the oblivion and go, what do I do next? Now, I know what to do next.
Yeah.
And I'm staring at them and I'm going, come on, you can do this. Yeah. You can work this out.
Yeah.
But they know in their heart, like, if they need me at any point, just turn around and ask.
Yeah.
And I will. I'll be like, okay, this is what you need to do. This. And trust me, that'll help everything out. And they'll go, that's so obvious. And I'm like, trust me, I did exactly what you've done. And I've stood there before, and just go, I've got no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah. So who is it? Who are the team?
Okay, well, I'd say current members is probably the easiest way of doing it.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of people in and out over the years, and the thing is, anyone who does do this, it is voluntary, which we make sure everyone's aware of from day one. There are ways in which, if they want to try and make a bit of money out of it, like, we offer incentives, but it's been quite nice that they've kind of all turned it down. Like, they've just gone, do you know what? I don't want to make money out of this. I see that they see from watching me to see that there's no real money in it. Right. Like, so really the stuff in which I offer them as incentives, they know is pretty much just me turning around and going, I want to give you something. Yeah. That the fact they all turn around and go, no, means I'm like, oh, thanks. Like,
and you know, they want to be there for I was going to say the right reasons, but there's nothing wrong with doing something for money. But if they care about the events themselves rather than the outcome of the event, then that's all good, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'd say Bobby Newton's been with us for the longest, or Robert. I bet she hates me like that. It's funny as fuck. She joined us when she was like 16. I think she was only 16, and it was she actually joined us at that show with The Last of Us. And it was like the week after that, I had to sit down with her and her sister, and I was just like, look, it's only me running this. Like, there's only me left. I do need to bring people on. And they were like, oh, we'd love to come work for you as reviewers. And I was like, well, any extra promotion is great, so let's do it. I think she's now been with us like 5 years. So 5 years down the line, I mean, the reviews pretty much went out the window, I think about 6 months in. And then they both just kind of stuck around. Jojo eventually ended up heading off to uni. So that kind of, she had a lot more to focus on up there. So it was easier that when she was coming back, she didn't stress at the shows or anything like that.
Yeah,
that she's back into work and like she's almost leaving uni when she comes home to come and relax, and then she's not even relaxing because she's now essentially working again. I think it just all got a bit much in the end, and it was easier for her to just come along and enjoy the shows. And I think ever since, like, it's been, as far as I'm aware, right. But Bobby stuck by us over the years, and I think she's the unsung hero of the company. I often feel bad at shows because where I do a lot of the booking, bands' instinct thing when doing their thank yous on the nights and stuff like that is to go, oh, thank you, Skye, so much for putting on the show. And it's just like, just get like deaf eyes from her. She's just like, oh, Skye is there, huh? And I'm like, But she's done loads over the years. She does a lot of the posters. Right. She pretty much had to teach herself how to do posters. Like, I mean, she's the one person, if I could say, out of everyone who's ever worked for us, who's gone and actually learned everything there is to know. Okay. And then just execute it night after night. Yeah. Like, if I ever wanted a night off from a show in which we was running, I knew I could leave it in Bobby's hands. Yeah. Luckily now I've taught everyone to be able to do it. So the team kind of works for themselves now. They're their own little units on their own to be able to do it.
That's good, isn't it? Giving them automation so that they can, they don't have to keep checking back with you about what needs to be done and stuff. If they can do it all themselves, then it's effectively, you're just multiplying you and your abilities, aren't you?
In a way, I mean, I think everyone
that
does it.
Arrogant, but
I was going to say, I think everyone kind of does it differently. I think we all run shows completely differently. Right. I like my shows to be chaos, like absolute chaos. They hate it. Like as a team, they actually hate the way I run shows. Okay. I mean, even a lot of people complain about the way I run shows. Right. But I think it's that element of you've got to give people something to talk about at the shows. Yeah. Because no one's coming out just for music anymore, which sucks. Yeah. That I think there's got to be an element of like chaos that you don't know what's going to happen. Even from like an aspect of like, I think it's quite a struggle for bands to even work with us and stuff like that. I think some bands love working with us and some bands absolutely hate it, which is fair enough. Like, I just think a lot of people take me on face value on show day. Right. And I think if you look at me on face value on show day, like you're kind of in a way staring at like a mask. Right. Because on show day, it's a performance from the team as much as it's a performance from the bands, and I think on the overall there's just like an element of like, this has to be, there's been days when like I've woken up and I'm like, I'm absolutely just exhausted and I've got nothing, but I'll psych myself up, and literally I'm psyching myself up as in, this is going to be the best show in the world, like today's the best show in the world, and I'm going down there and like people are going to feel like feed off of your energy, and if you enter into a show and you're just like run down and you're just like people coming along to the show are going to feed off that same energy. Yeah. And they're going to be like, oh, okay, so it's one of them sort of days. And it's just like, I like to sort of be there in your face, like, right, let's whack the music up. Let's get everyone feeling like this is going to be a good night. Yeah. You can't achieve it every night because there may just be, I don't know, for whatever reason, it's one of them days where everyone's had a hard day, but they've made it down to the show and now they just want to stand there, sip a pint and watch a band. Like, fair enough. But I think you do need to, you need to like motivate people, man. Yeah.
Well, it's supposed to be, and probably is for a lot of people, like the highlight of their week or the thing they've been looking forward to. You know, the bands are excited to play. Yeah. You know, I mean, we've had a few times when like bands have actually turned up, and it's been quite frustrating because I've looked at them and like, especially sometimes when a band's been on tour for a while and they're coming towards like, this is like one of their last dates of the tour, and then they turn up and they're knackered. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, by the time it actually gets to the point in which they're going to play, they psych themselves up. They're doing the same thing that
we've all had to do throughout the day. And I don't know. I think you definitely have to wear a mask if you're in any way running things or playing a show or like, I think there's a lot to it, man. I think you've got to put on a performance as much as everyone else. Like, I think
you're setting an example as well, like for the people that you're working for you.
Yeah, of course.
And you want everyone to think that everything's running smoothly, even if it's not.
Oh, no, I prefer the opposite.
No?
I actually prefer the opposite.
Okay.
I want them to think that it's running completely like it's a shit show.
Okay.
It's completely, everything's going wrong. Nothing can be fixed. Is the show even going to happen? Like, because then all that's going to happen is they're going to start, oh man, I'm like, you watch it, like you can look around the room and I know if I've done my job right, if everyone's kind of like texting their mates like, oh man, you need to come down to this show, man. Like, I have no idea what's going on right now. Like, oh, things are running a bit behind. I don't even know when the band's going to start. Like, and you'll see people like, it's always been one of the things, man. People turn up for negative reasons more than they'll turn up for positive reasons, which I've never understood, but it's a way better marketing technique than like to market negativity rather than to market positivity. Like, I feel like when you market positivity, you're like saying the same thing and doing the same thing that there's nothing new. Like, you can even see it when, for example, when a band, as I was saying a minute ago, just goes and thanks the really obvious person to thank. Like, it was like, oh, thank you to the bar staff. Thank you to the sound tech. Thank you to Skye for putting on the show. Like, that I'm sure it is genuine. It doesn't in any way feel genuine, even though they're being 100% genuine. So, to market the negative stuff is way easier. And you'll provoke a reaction out of someone where they'll think, okay, this is how's this going to turn out? Is this even going to happen? And then when it does, it's like it's all worth it. It's like in their head, they were like, I didn't know this was even going to happen. You've managed to turn it around. Yet in my head, there was never any doubt. There was absolutely zero doubt that anything wouldn't work out. Everyone, as far as everyone who needs to be, is in the know that everything's fine. But anyone who doesn't need to be, I do it to my own team. I terrorize them. I'll tell them 100% we're screwed. Well, I have no idea how we're going to make it. Like, or there's been times where like we've been a busy show, but we're like, I don't know, say like £40 off breaking even.
Right.
And I'll be like, I will intentionally, and again, like I know a lot of people will look at this and go, you're an asshole. But like, I'll intentionally go and take £60 out and hide it from them.
Right.
And so in their head, they're like, shit, we're like £100 off breaking even. And then, because I think in a way, I've got to motivate them off of this chaos as well.
Right.
Because it's so easy for, if a show looks as if it's going well, to just take your foot off the gas. But that's the difference between me being able to turn around to a band at the end of the night and go, do you know what? You just played a stellar performance, man. Here's an extra, 20, 30 quid on top of your fee. And they'll be like, no, I don't know what you're doing. I'm like, dude, you just played an awesome performance. Like, if you can offer a band that little bit extra, that it goes a mile, man. To a band, it goes miles.
When you don't need to, when it's more than the agreed fee or whatever.
And so I mean, I'd much rather my team are busting them balls for that extra little bit of money and are pushing the shows that extra mile because I don't know. I just think everyone just needs to. Sometimes people just need that extra nudge. I myself need it as well. Like, and I just kind of have to rely on life to throw me a curveball, and I have to turn it around and go, okay, no, I need to do this, and that's normally what happens.
That's it. Yeah, if you're up against it, if a bit of pressure is a good thing, isn't it? Obviously, some people thrive with that, and some people don't. But I think, if it's all going according to plan and everything's fine, there's no real impetus to try a bit harder or move a bit faster and when you're stressed, and I think it's a good skill to have, isn't it, to be able to take that potential negative situation and make something happen. I think that you can use that in so many different aspects of life.
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. It's like people will thrive under pressure or they'll break under pressure. And I think there are going to be moments, especially in live music and stuff, where you're going to be under crap loads of pressure. Like the whole world is going to be against you, and you need to be able to pull out the goods somehow.
Yeah.
Like you don't know how you're going to do it, but you need to be able to just turn it around.
Yeah.
And if you don't, that's your entire name, your company, that's everything
Your
gone.
reputation, yeah.
If you don't just pull it off that one time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true. I think, and you're a great example of that. I mean, you know, House of Pain has got a good reputation, you know.
It's got a mixed reputation, I think.
Really?
There's definitely been some people that have fallen out with us over the way we do things.
Okay.
They come back. Don't get me wrong, they come back. So I imagine there will be bands now that at the moment will be like, can't stand House of Pain, this guy's an asshole. It's part of, I think there's many different parts of running it that if one of my team gets it wrong, I will take full flag for them.
Yeah.
From whoever I need to take it from, because it's frustrating because you want to be able to turn around to them and be like, no, but it's not my fault. Like I couldn't do anything in this situation, blah, 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 blah. But you can't. What you actually need to do is stand there and basically just take it. You just have to stand there and go, I'm really sorry. Like things haven't planned out the way I'd hoped they'd planned out. I put X and Y and Z thing in place and that hasn't worked. And all you can do in that situation is apologize. It's hard to do that when your back's against the wall. And I think early on, I wasn't used to it, and I did try and come up with excuse after excuse. But in the end, you just go, there's no point arguing with these people. If you actually want them to understand what the only good argument you can have against anyone who ever tries to go, oh, it's not that hard, go and do it. Like that would genuinely be my answer. And sort of to do a complete U-turn right back round to the beginning. Promoters, in my eyes, weren't needed many years ago. I think the bands that want to go that extra mile and want to make money and stuff like that, seriously run it. Just like run a show. Like I always support bands that do. The Dark Horse are known for it quite a lot. They go and run it themselves. And well, there's loads of bands do it really. And they just go and run it themselves. They also get the door money as well. But then they realize everything that they're actually paying out for. And they may pull it off once, but you'll be surprised if they try that again, like the following week. I don't think they're going to pull it off again.
No, it's difficult. Well, that's why it's normally two separate jobs, isn't it? You know, it's a lot of work. It's not an easy thing. Well, the fact that you're still going, the fact that you're still putting on shows after 6 years is a testament to what a good job you're doing, and the fact that you're doing it because you want to put on music is it's a noble pursuit, because I
think that's the only way you can do it. I think the only way you can do it is if you're genuinely in this industry to say, I'm just here to make money, leave. Goodbye. Like you're gonna hate every minute of this. Like there might be a point where you actually make some money, but by the time you do make that, like you probably not going to appreciate for what you just put in to get there.
That's it. I think that you say it about a lot of things, you know, if people do it just for the money, then it's probably not going to be either a good thing, a product or an event or whatever, and or you're not going to be satisfied by getting that money if you didn't do a good job to get it. And I think you know, promotions is a great example of that, because it's the event comes first, and you'll soon find out if it's not working. If the punters aren't happy, if you're not happy.
Oh, if anyone's not happy, they let you know. Which I love, man. I love how like aggressive this like the scene is. Like, because there's nothing worse than being told by someone, like basically being lied to by turning around to someone turning around to you and being like, "Yeah, man, that was great." And you can see it. No, it weren't. Like, you might as well just say, like, I'm aware of what went wrong. You can just say it. Like positive, it's not even positive. Criticism's key. I think you need to be criticized. In order to know where you've gone wrong. I think if people are like constantly blowing smoke up your ass, like, you'll end up in a real bad place.
That's no help at all, is it? Okay. Cool. Well, we've been going for nearly over an hour, I think now.
Oh, really? Time flies.
But no, I appreciate your time, and I think promotion is still something I don't understand, which is why I stopped doing it. But you know, thankfully, there's people like you, and there are so many bands that can't or don't want to or don't know how to do the promotion, so they need promoters. So it's an awesome thing, and thanks, man.
Oh, thank you.
No
I mean, like literally, like just do it.
Yeah, I'll put all the links to all your stuff in the show notes, and yeah.
I mean, Hopfest. Oh, Hopfest is the most important thing this year.
Okay, go on, tell us about that.
The festival.
Yeah.
Well, we did Hopfest first last year. First time we've ever done a festival of any kind, 3 days basically. And it went really well.
Yeah.
It was quite surprising. And then this year we've just taken it that one step bigger, and we kept back that announcement. We kept back to an announcement till like really last minute, and we announced Crazy Town, which was cool. So I'd say that's probably going to be the main hitter. But you've also got there's loads of bands on there.
Yeah,
I would genuinely just say if you're looking for a festival to go to, it's a 3-day event. It's in Rushden at the Athletic Club.
Yeah,
get onto that.
Yeah.
So,
that's awesome, man. These local festivals that happen are really good idea.
I mean, the early bird tickets sold out real quick, and now the VIP tickets are sold out as well. So it's literally just the standard rate tickets left as well. So I would get them as soon as possible.
When is it?
End of June. So June 29th to the 1st of July. Okay. It's that weekend.
Yeah, awesome.
So, yeah.
Okay, I'll put a link to it in the podcast.
Cool.
Thank you, man.
No worries, man.
Great.